Hello out there, thanks for watching. Last week I put out a video called Ulysses' Sirens in the Bible, and the question was whether we should use commitment devices to help us in our spiritual growth. Ultimately the answer was, well, they might be useful as a short-term solution, but they're really not a long-term winning strategy. However, in my studies about and research about commitment devices, I came across a story about Han Xin, and he's credited with having used a commitment device in the ancient times with his army. You see, he feared that his troops would run away from the enemy. So to set up the battlefield, what he did is he ordered all his troops to start from a position where their backs are to the water. It basically gave them nowhere to retreat, and therefore they had to go ahead, charge forward, and overtake the enemy in order to win, in order to survive, because there was nowhere to go. So win or die was the setup. And it felt to me that when I heard the story that it was awful familiar, that it was very similar to the story of Moses and the Israelites crossing the Red Sea. You see, it was God who led the Israelites through the wilderness and through a mountain pass that left them on a little clearing or a basin that in front of them was the Red Sea. So like Han Xin, they had a body of water to one side, and to the other side, the Israelites had the Egyptian army coming after them. So they were trapped. And so I thought, well, this seems like God's using a commitment device. Now, when the Israelites realized they were trapped, they weren't supposed to go charging after the Egyptians and wipe them out. They did what probably anybody would really do, is call to God and say, "Help! I'm stuck. Can you get me out of this mess?" And God responds. He says, "Why are you crying to me?" He tells Moses to stretch out his arm, to hold his rod over the waters, and to part the sea. Now, I believe this story actually happened, but I believe it's also a metaphor for our life. And that if we look at some of the symbols, we can figure out what's going on. Essentially, we have Moses' rod as a symbol for truth, stretching out his arm as a symbol of power, and you have the sea, which represents false ideas and false beliefs, and the Egyptians, which are about worldliness. So you have basically the world and false ideas surrounding you. And God says, "Why are you crying to me?" What he's trying to do is help us grow up. He's trying to say, look, I've given you the power. Just stretch out your arm. I've trained you on this. Use the truth I've given you, the rod. Use those things, and you can actually make your way through this. It'll cut right through those false beliefs. It'll cut right through that sea. The sea will part for you. So I think what we're supposed to get out of this is that we don't actually have to come crying to God every time something goes wrong. There are times when he's going to say, look, you're a big boy or girl. You can actually defeat this enemy on your own. Use the tools that I've given you. God is using a commitment device, but it's not for a short-term game. This is for a big game. If you get this right and you learn how to fight some battles on your own, you can go a long, long way. Just like a parent who tries to teach their kid the first few steps, once you get that walking down, you can go a long way. So sometimes maybe your life's not going so great. You feel like the world's closing in on around you, all these false ideas and fake news in your head, and you think, boy, God, help me out. Can't you get me out of this mess? Yeah, he could. But he might be just using that opportunity to help you do some growth of your own and learn you to help you fight your own battles. Best of luck out there. Thanks for watching. Bye.